Hey, my name's Sylvan. Recently I've been playing a lot of Battlefront 2, and when I started, I realized that I had a very limited amount of crafting parts as I played through the game, and I wanted help deciding which cards to buy and upgrade as the game throws a lot of information at you at once. After noticing a distinct lack of informative, up-to-date guides on the topic, I decided that after I figured it out for myself, I'd present it for everybody in a way that other people could learn and build their own Assault characters themselves, and not just blindly follow a top 3 card list of some sort. Although I will be including something like that for those of you who just want to jump straight into the game, and I'll leave a link in the description so you can grab your build straight away and just jump into it. So today I'll be walking you through the Assault class star cards, specifically their strengths, weaknesses, niches, and build examples. To address the broad quantity of maps, I'll be scoring each individual card with respect to how well they perform in the following areas: on attack, on defense, in closed areas, and in open areas. Each card will also be given an average score and rank which represents how well I believe it to perform in most situations. As these lists go, I'm going to begin at the bottom, and as a reminder, there will be builds at the end and not just throughout. At number 17 is Resourceful, with an overall score of 2.5. This card doesn't come close to the impact that other cards have in pretty much any matchup. The cooldown is much too low on abilities with already short cooldowns for it to be taken seriously. Some small niche builds you can try involve using it with Recharge Vanguard and Toughen Up or Improved Thermal Detonator, which can result in it having long periods of health regen or spam grenades. It's more cheese than anything else, but it can still have a use. Up next, at number 16, we have Brawler, with a score of 3.5. I hate to say it, but melee isn't that great in this game. It locks you in place and can have some pretty awful netcode along with it. It can be useful every now and again, but not often. This means you're pretty unlikely to get many kills in melee and make full use of this card. In some close maps, you could definitely grab a kill here or there and regen enough health not to die to the next person, but these situations don't pop up enough. If you were to run it, I'd suggest going with Assault Training and Toughen Up or Killstreak Vanguard for some crazy heals. At 15, we have Improved Scan Dart with a score of 4. Now, I love Scan Dart, but this card that only improves its duration just isn't great. If they increased the radius or gave it 2 charges with the star card, it'd be a top tier card, but in its current form it's very lackluster. There are no niche builds for this card. There are, however, 3 maps that come to mind where this card can be very useful. When you're playing Imperial on Endor at the first stage, you can hug this mini cliff on the left hand side, and you can shoot a scan dart up the top onto one of the trees, and you can shoot all the people who come down to try and go for the objective. When you're playing First Order on Takodana, the first stage, you run to the left, and once you shoot one of the trees, you can see all the rebel flanks, and you can outflank them instead. And the last one, when you're playing a Resistance on Crate, on the second stage, where there's a giant clusterfuck in the middle, and there's a giant pole, you can easily get an opportunity to run around and Vanguard if you see them hug one side or turn to one side and not face the left or right side. At 14, we have Recharge Vanguard with a score of 4. This card's great if you're trying to spam Toughen Up, as it gives you long periods of time with fast health regen. You can also use it to spam more grenades, but on its own, in most situations, you're just not going to get enough out of it. It's nowhere near as powerful as the other Vanguard upgrades, and it has similar niche uses to Resourceful. At 13, we have Marksman with a score of 4. Now, this one may come as a surprise to some people, as it can definitely be considered one of the best star cards on Specialist and Officer, but on Assault, there are definitely considerably fewer situations where this card excels. Your weapon is more inaccurate than other classes' single-shot weapons, and although quite often you can hit the head if you're a good shot, some stray bullets will often just hit the chest instead, reducing its effectiveness anyway. A niche build could be on a map that's not too open but has open sections with cover, like the first stage of Starkiller Base, with Bounty Hunter and Survivalist. At 12, we have Experienced Weapon Handling with a score of 4.5. This card is pretty cool sometimes when you get the gold reload for a little bit of extra time, but it's only really useful in close quarters where infinite ammo can get you some extra kills. There aren't any niche builds for it, but you can use it as an optional in one of the builds I give at the end. At 11, we have Flash Pistol with a score of 4.5. This is a good gun to quickly swap to in a pinch if you really need to reload your primary weapon, but in most situations, it's not going to be used at all. Its blind is pretty cool, but they can still see the red marker like with flash grenades, so it's totally useless in a one-on-one, which is the most common situation that you'd use it. But if you really had to win a 1v1 though, and that's the only thing that mattered, taking this with Toughen Up and Bodyguard or Improved Thermal Detonator would definitely be the way to go. Most other cards are to prolong fights, and this one is for really quick fights. Now we get to the cards that are useful in many situations, if not all. Here are the top 10. At 10 we have Acid Launcher with a score of 6. It's absolutely amazing at clearing and securing corridors. If you were to have a few people with these on maps like Stage 3 of Crate with a few heavies backing you up, you're pretty much unbreakable. This is one optional card in most of the general builds that I'll show later. At 9 we have Smart Ion Grenade with a score of 6. This is a must-take on MTT AT-AT maps as it does a lot of damage to vehicles. Also, if you're getting harassed by an ATST or an AAT, quickly taking this card to take one out is a very smart idea. As with Acid Launcher, this is an optional card in most builds. At 8 we have Slug Vanguard with a score of 6.5. This is great on maps that are open like Hoth and Crate, where you can easily pick up some kills on people trying to run for cover. If you're wanting a little bit more distance, this card is for you. I'd recommend taking it with Survivalist and Bounty Hunter or Toughen Up. At 7 we have Bodyguard with a score of 6.5. This card is crazy good on attack and close quarters maps. If you run it with Toughen Up and Assault or Killstreak Vanguard, you can break rooms that seem unbreakable. This one can also quite often mean life or death when defending against grenade spam, such as the second part of Theed as Republic. At 6 we have Assault Training with a score of 6.5. I wish this was higher, but it's not super great on defense, only when roaming around the middle areas or when the enemy tries to rush your defensive line. On offense though, this can be incredibly strong, and in close quarters with combination of Killstreak Vanguard and Toughen Up, you can go on a rampage from the heal spam and one-shot kills. This card is pretty vital to breaking defensive lines. Now we're up to the top 5. I'm not going to put any niche builds up, because at the end when I show all the builds, these cards are pretty core to everything. At number 5, we have Toughen Up with a score of 8. This card is absolutely amazing with the amount of health it heals. It gives you the opportunity to take a lot of body shots from heavies and other assaults and win fights where you'd normally go down pretty fast. In maps with a lot of cover, especially on defense, it's completely outperformed by Survivalists though. And at number 4 we have my favorite card, Killstreak Vanguard with a score of 8. I love going on a rampage with this. It's great in almost every situation. As soon as you get a flank on the enemy team, you can quickly rack up 5+ kills and still be able to Vanguard for another few seconds if somebody else pops around the corner. I believe it to be the cornerstone of the Vanguard card system for most maps, but it does fall short on open maps where Toughness or Slug Vanguard can give you a lot more impact. At number 3, we have the Improved Thermal Detonator with a score of 8.5. The increased radius means that quite often you can grab a few more kills than normal and break enemy lines, especially in small corridors. I prefer Killstreak Vanguard in close quarters, but on average in open areas the Detonator will do a better job, and that's why it's rated higher. At number 2 we have Survivalist with a score of 9.5. This card is fantastic at keeping you alive. The reduced time to restart regenerating your health is invaluable in a game like this in almost every situation. The only times where I'd swap it out for Toughen Up are in closed maps, where you won't get much of a chance to back out, or against vehicles where you need that quick Toughen Up burst heal to keep you alive. Finally, at number 1 we have Bounty Hunter. This really is the king of cards in pretty much every single class. You only really want to take it off if you have an objective that can't be done with it on your build, such as breaking a defensive line to win the game or shutting down a vehicle that's destroying your team. This card gets you your specialist classes and heroes much faster, and it's invaluable to giving you an advantage in the game. Make sure you're using it as much as possible to quickly rack up points, and most of your builds can start with this. I'd also recommend swapping it out near the end or when you've racked up enough points so you can use something better in those situations. Now onto what to build. The whole purpose of this video was to show you that you can decide on what cards to take. By using the numbers I've provided, you can look up what's good on open maps when attacking or closed maps when defending. But for those of you who just want the builds given to them, here's my list of great ones to go. For the person who never wants to micromanage their star cards and just wants a straight up overall decent build for all maps, try this. Bounty Hunter, Survivalist, and Killstreak Vanguard. It's great on all maps and gives you the opportunity to get some big streaks with Vanguard. So if you're ever unsure or you want to put in as little effort as possible, this build is for you. Next, if you're new to the game, like I was, and you started off only getting 3 or 4 kills every game while getting stomped in most situations, I'd recommend the following for pretty much every map. Survivalist, Toughen Up, and Bodyguard. This gives you so much more survivability and more of an opportunity to do well. Bodyguard gives you the defense against grenades since you're not familiar with all the maps yet, and Survivalist / Toughen Up gives you enough health to live through small skirmishes and AT-AT and MTT fire. Here are 6 builds with 3 optional cards each, so you can easily tailor a build to a specific map or your own liking. The All-Star works on most maps, but isn't as good in some niches such as playing against vehicles. The tank with assault training can be good for breaking lines. If you get behind them, you heal so much that 2 or 3 people focusing you can still lose. The Vehicle Hater is good versus that annoying ATST on Mos Eisley or just Walker Assault maps. The Sniper is great on open maps like Crate and Hoth, where you can just pick up easy kills from people trying to get to cover. The Cheeser is great when defending, and you can pick up quite a few multi-kills from having extra grenades. Could be also good with ion grenades and acid launcher. The Duelist is for when you have to beat just one guy. Sometimes there's one dude guarding a corridor or a path and he kills you like 2 or 3 times. So just put these cards on and go to town. That's all for this video for today. Let me know if you liked it, hated it, or anything else you'd like to see in one of my videos. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!